Hey y'all, in this episode, Steve and I interview with Zach White, CEO and founder of the Oasis of Courage, an engineering community and coaching program with the purpose of helping engineering leaders like some of you attain the career and life you want without suffering burnout. Zach is also the host of the Happy Engineer podcast, where he interviews high-performing leaders to share their insights, as well as provide you with some of the tools to become a better engineering leader. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to put words in Zach's mouth. Learn more about Zach and Owaco by visiting his website. Look it up. In this interview with Zach, Steve and I dive deeper into the true mission behind impactful engineering and why it's important to us. We will share some interesting backstories that I'm sure you haven't heard before. Enjoy the interview.
Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
All right. Let's go. Welcome back, Happy Engineer. And today, I get to say hello to Jake and Steve. Guys, welcome to the Happy Engineer podcast. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
This is going to be fun. For anyone who's a fan and longtime listener of the Happy Engineer podcast, you'll know I've never had more than two people on the show at the same time. So we're going to have the risk of overlap in our talking with not knowing who's up, but I'm super pumped. This is going to be great. So Jake and Steve Maxey, brothers, why don't you really quick tell me, Jake, I'm going to look to you. Tell me your most embarrassing or most memorable childhood brother story just to set the stage, because we can't have brothers on the show and not relive a couple embarrassing moments. So,
Sure.
Jake, what's the first thing that pops in for you? Childhood brother memory.
You said first thing, so it may not be the best, may not be the most memorable, but here we go. So I remember as a kid living, it was in Anderson, California, and we're in this little like ranch style house, right? And the road actually, the driveway goes around the house, right? And there's a little exits to wherever you want to go.
Okay.
So we all get out, and I think it was me, Steve, and Scott, my other brother, and we're riding our bikes. And I'm the smallest guy, and I'm the slowest. And they take off, and they get ahead of me. And I go, okay, well, I'm going to catch them, right? And then they just pull off, go back in the house, hide their bikes. And I'm thinking I'm trying to catch them the entire time. And I'm out there for like half an hour just riding by myself. And they're inside, I don't know, playing Nintendo or something, or thinking about the next thing they're going to do to me, like
Priceless.
Put Tabasco on my lips or something. So, yeah.
That's
that was
brilliant.
fun.
Jake, you're the youngest or the smallest? Or both?
Oh, both. Yeah.
Both.
Well,
Okay.
I have 5 brothers in total. So it's a his, hers, and ours kind of situation.
Got it,
Brothers
got
have
it.
brothers. It gets complicated.
That's too funny.
Yeah, of the group we were in, smallest,
That's
youngest.
amazing. I love that when you started into the description of what it is that Steve already started laughing. He knew right where you're going with that. All right. Okay. So Steve, time for redemption on your side. What is your childhood brother story that comes to mind with Jake first?
Another classic one is there at the same property, there was a tree house, and the three of us, so Scott was the middle brother, I'm the oldest, and there was 2 ways to get in. There was a little ladder with a little hatch door that you could lock from the inside, and then there was a rope on the outside that you can climb up. Only Scott and I could climb the rope. Jake could not. So what did we do? Scott and I went up the little ladder, closed the hatch and locked it, and Jake couldn't get in that way. So he went to the rope and knew he couldn't get up. And he's like, let me in. And Scott and I are like, oh, you can come in. You just got to climb the rope. And of course, just bawling. And I mean, he was 5 or 6 or something like that.
Oh man. These are the things that cause us to do counseling and therapy as adults, Steve.
All right. And it wasn't, okay. it was always two, and Steve was always one of the two against the other one, right? So he
That's very
benefited the
true. I was
most.
the
Right?
mastermind.
You were the
That's
mastermind, so
that's so
I
funny.
got my revenge, but never on Steve.
That's too funny. Well, it seems like Steve's still embodying the deep thinking, masterminding personality to this day. I know before we hit record, we were talking about this incredible project that you two are launching, and Steve is as the thinker and Jake as the quick trigger pulling doer and in the duo here. So let's set the stage. I am excited, and your vision, your mission aligns so closely with what OACO, the Oasis of Courage, and what we do in lifestyle engineering. And the two of you are launching an incredible mission and brand called Impactful Engineering, the Impactful Engineer. And so I want to just start with a quick baseline of what is it that you want to do and the impact you want to make through impactful engineering. And then we'll back up and fill in how we got here and where it goes from today. But Steve, maybe to start with you, tell us a little bit about the brand and where this is going, the mission of impactful engineering.
Impactful engineer was a concept Jake and I came up with to really provide a resource for up and coming engineers or new engineers already in their first job or whichever, to understand like the giant array of what engineering has to offer, as well as how to be a more impactful engineer, a better engineer, make more of an impact in not only their career, their job, but their community even. We also have a longer vision for impactful engineer, and that's really to provide access to anyone who really wants to be an engineer but can't otherwise do so. And that involves a scholarship fund that we would like to start and to provide a scholarship for an engineering student in every state every year. So that is our long-term goal for the philanthropy side of it.
Absolutely.
Another aspect that we also would like to do is connect employers to new engineers based off of the culture that we want to build.
I love that. And I'll just say this today. I think not only will you hit that vision of one scholarship for a student in every state every year, but I think that's just the starting point. That's going to become 10 and become 100 and become more in terms of what you all can do with this. So Jake, tell me your perspective on this. When you think about impactful engineer, what else does that mean to you?
There's so many things, but if I'm going to have one that is always in my mind, it's I'm reaching me as I go through high school. I'm reaching me as I'm going through college. I'm reaching me as I start that first engineering job. And the dormant, just super intelligent, excellent engineer, super personable guy that was there. And I want to extract that for people. And I want to help people find that within themselves. That's the biggest part of what I see of impactful engineering.
My coach, Rory Vaden, an amazing guy, he says that you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person who you once were. And so it's exactly what I hear in that heart. If I could have just gone back in time and had access to some of the knowledge and the ideas and the things that I now have back then, what a different story it could have been. So let's go back to that point. Maybe for both of you, Jake, just if you're imagining yourself, what was it that triggered your passion to go into engineering? Was there any friction or barriers that you faced along the way? Tell us a little bit about your starting point.
I was a very good student, hard worker, had a good core set of friends at the end of high school. One of those friends decided that they were going to do engineering. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that too. They're going to move to Chico State or Chico to go to Chico State. Okay, I'll do that too. Let's hang out. College sounds fun. All right. So let me do the engineering thing with you. I had started to like work on cars and stuff as I got older. Let's back up a little bit to like middle school, working my way up. And then to high school, I was a band geek. I love music. I played an orchestra, the wind ensemble, the jazz band, the marching band, whatever was available. Right. Loved music. Was very good at math too. So I had the stuff to be an engineer, but it was never really a path that I was able to foresee. So it really was just me picking the next step, the next logical step as a transition after high school. That's all it really was.
And so when you were in college and at least I assume you hit the same point all of us do in engineering where it's like, this is actually kind of hard. It's not as easy to get grades in these classes as maybe I hoped it would be. Was there ever a time you thought maybe following in the footsteps of my friend here is not a good idea? I'm out. Like, this isn't worth it. Or did you go all the way? Okay. Tell us, where was that?
That was in my third year because the first 2 years were a breeze. Bunch of math, bunch of physics. I had a great teacher, which I hope I have time to talk about, that inspired me. But then after that, in my third year, it was, why am I doing this? The whole thing is kind of washed out. I've had fun in college so far, but what does the next thing mean? And I'm working 2 to 3 jobs at a time to put myself through school and just basically survive. And I'm going, why am I in this laser class trying to solve these problems? The care factor kind of dropped off, but then the difficulty was like, why am I putting myself through this? I could go work hard, and I know I'm going to do better than anyone basically in my family has done so far. I'm one of the first ones to go to college. And it's like, I have this stuff that, washing away the technical stuff, I could do very well. Who cares about this engineering degree? So yes, I did hit that. But then I'm too stubborn and determined to finish what I start to do that. So I just ground it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And not many people that I know who don't sense a connection to a why. Like, oh, I just love cars. I've always wanted to be an engineer. My dad's an engineer. My mom's an engineer. So I grind it out because my identity is wrapped around being that. Those people I've met in spades, but that's a totally different story. Like, I just ended up here and then it got hard, but I finished anyway just because I'm so stubborn. That's really interesting. Steve, what's your version of this story? Is it totally different, or do you have some overlap with what Jake experienced?
It is completely different than Jake's story.
Completely different. Okay.
I don't think there's any similarity other than that we're brothers. That and we both kind of went at it as a underfunded position. So
okay.
So I'll start in high school real quick, just because it kind of sets the stage. My graduating high school GPA was a 1.9. I was not a good student at all.
I thought you were going to say on a 2-point scale, right? So you crushed it.
No, it was a 1.9. Yeah. So, and I was actually in AP physics, and I was in pre-calc and all the other stuff in high school. And I dropped all those classes to be a TA in band. I mean, at the time I was just bored, and I turned 18 in September of my senior year of high school. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go to class anymore. So I would just sign myself out and go party. So yeah, not a traditional engineering path. I did take an ASVAB test, right, which is a military entrance exam. And when I took that test, I scored off the charts. And for a complete year, I had the military saying, we want you now. We want you for engineering. We want you for aerospace, blah, blah, blah. And they kept hammering our house phone at the time because, this is a long time ago when we had house phones.
The phone was attached to the wall. The old days.
Yeah. I mean, it had a cable and everything.
Man.
So anyways, I ignored it because I had a problem with authority. So I kind of just worked at Taco Bell and, Sears and Circuit City and just a bunch of random jobs. And I went to junior college and didn't really do much. Fast forward a few years later, I started getting into cars at about 19 or so. And, I asked our dad, I was like, hey, I want to do something with cars for the rest of my life because that's what I love doing. And our dad was in the auto body business for a very long time. And he was like, don't do auto body or mechanics or anything that works on cars because you'll be miserable. And I was like, well, that sucks. So I'm like, well, what else can I do? And he was like, I don't know. You can design cars. And so I was like, okay. So I started doing a little research and I was like, oh, engineers do that. Well, I have a terrible GPA. I can't get into engineering school. So what I did is I started asking around about, how I could get into a university. And our stepmom at the time went to a small technical university in Southern Oregon called Oregon Institute of Technology for her dental hygiene degree. and she knew one of the admissions people there. And so she put me into contact with her, and she said, well, there's a way you can get into a university. And this is a little secret for those who are technically savvy and gifted,
hot
but
tip, pay attention.
didn't really apply themselves. This is a good hot tip. And we lived in California. So I moved to Oregon and worked for a year to establish residency. And during that year, I took engineering classes as a non-admitted student, which you can do. You still get a grade. It still is part of a transcript. You still pay tuition, but you're as a non-admitted student, so you don't have to go through the application process. So I did this for an entire year. After the next year came around, I applied to get into the university and used the transcripts from that year, and I got like a 3.8, right? Because I actually applied myself for once, and I got in-state tuition. So I got accepted into the university program for mechanical engineering with a 1.9 GPA and never taking a test to get into a university.
Hey, my fellow impactful engineers. If there's one thing that you could do to help out this community, is to keep listening to the podcast, but also if you found value in it, to share it with one person, give us a 5-star review, or even leave a text review. It'll only take a few seconds of your time. Find that person that you think could enjoy some of this or learn from it, and pass on the good word. Now back to the show.
I'm floored. I've never heard of that approach before. That is really interesting. And okay, so now I'm struck by both of these stories because, for one, Steve, your assessment is accurate, completely different. And what's interesting now is just that question of how many leaders, how many boys and girls are out there today in middle school, in high school, who have a path that looks nothing like the typical engineering path, which I'll just give the 2-second version of my story, which is honestly like the stereotypical, exactly what you think engineering should be. My dad's an electrical engineer, has his master's, did all the work for his PhD, just never actually finished it. He's working at AT&T, Bell Labs in the glory days of telecommunications when it was really expanding. Like in the basement at my house, it was not uncommon to be playing with a soldering iron and building circuit boards. Like that was a normal Saturday night for me. Great at math and science. High school guidance counselor says, a no-brainer, you're going to be an engineer. I wanted to be an engineer. The idea of rebellion to me was, instead of doing electrical engineering like my dad, I did mechanical engineering because I want to be my own person, right? I go to Purdue, full ride on academics, got my ME degree, got my first job, like the rest is history. So that's, I think, what we paint the picture of the typical engineering path, and how many people are nothing like that, who will one day have the opportunity, if the right person or the right catalyst at the right moment comes along and shows them it's possible, to have this huge impact. And that's actually really inspiring behind the mission of impactful engineering. Then, like, how do we catch more Jakes and Steves at the right time, and the Sallys and the Sarahs and the everybody's, with the right information and the access to go do this? And I'd love to explore the word impact with you too, because as a coach, and Jake, we've worked together, you know how, impact, everybody at Awaco has this desire to make an impact, but it also is different for everyone, what impact means to them. So maybe tell me, what does it mean to you, maybe how that's evolved over time, or just today, or what it means in the future when you think of the word impact? And Jake, maybe we'll throw it back to you first. When you imagine the kind of impact you're having and want to have as an engineer, what does that mean to you?
In my career and through impactful engineering, I think it's the same. It's very personal. I want people to succeed. That's the bottom line. The more successful people can be, and the better versions of themselves that they can create over time, the more that it's going to exponentially improve or impact the world, the community that they're in, their families, from here to the end of time. So that's what impact means to me.
I love that. Steve, what about you?
It's really the same thing, but leaving this earth in a better spot than you got here in, right? I mean, that's just the very basic of it. Making an impact is to positively influence the world, your community, even your loved ones or your future loved ones, generations down. Building generational wealth is one way to make an impact. Another way to make an impact is to save someone's life by designing something that will save their life that would otherwise not be saved, right? So, I mean, there's so many different ways to make an impact in this world, but engineers are uniquely positioned to leverage their knowledge and skill set to make very large impacts, whether it's working for someone else or being an entrepreneur and making their own inventions and own companies. I mean, there's so many ways to make an impact. And that's what we really are trying to spread the message about.
One of the examples I think of with this is the team that first designed the airbag. I can imagine there were a lot of late nights in labs just running tests and figuring out a way to solve that problem. And now it's just a taken for granted piece of technology that's everywhere. I guess some of these airbag systems are nuts now with the window airbags and all this. It's like absolutely amazing. But how many lives have been saved, Steve, to your point, from that technician who sat in the lab and ran airbag tests? It's just incredible. Yeah. So, Jake, you mentioned a great teacher. And when I imagine the impactful engineer mission embodied in the world, yes, there's knowledge and information, but it really, like the people side, the relationships that happen and that right conversation at the right moment is definitely a part of it. So I'd love to hear that story and how that impacted you, and maybe link it back to how did that moment maybe plant the seed to what you all are dreaming to do now with Impactful Engineer. But tell us about the teacher moment.
Yeah, sure. And it's really a story that I've never told anyone. So Steve will hear this for the first time too, because it's a connection that I made just by reflecting upon after the work I've been doing to really be able to see that and make that connection. And I just had that aha moment. I'm like, wow, this is one of the things. So this teacher was one of the people that I think removed a certain level of fear from my thinking that this is going to be too hard. This is too complicated. I'm not the person to do these things. There's no way, right? I could do math and I was good at test taking. I was good at school, but am I going to be a good engineer? Right. Mm-hmm. And so this teacher, it was whatever classes you're taking in the first 2 years of your degree. So there's going to be some like basic circuits classes, stuff like that. He was so excited about electricity in general. He was just like the most jolly, like kind of a bigger guy, and just loved it. He would just walk around up in front of the class, just so happy to be there. Right. And so happy for you. It was so different than basically every other teacher in the engineering field, in my opinion. It was equations and writing things and saying, study the book. And it was no more than that. This guy was way different. So right away, the guard is dropped. You're in there, you're having fun. But then he took it way further. Like, he wasn't the guy that said, look at the textbook. He would proof everything out right in front of you. And he would send you home with packets of his handwritten work, solving every single problem step by step, and then invite you back to talk about why each step is important. He would spend outside class time with me when I got stuck on something. And because later on in your studies, you're going to be very much more independent and relied upon to be independent and to study and make these connections. And I feel like I would have been scared away, to be honest, if that was the guy that was teaching me these classes, right? And I get that that's not everybody, but for me, it meant something. And I'm pretty sure that for a lot of the students, it meant something too.
Yeah, yeah.
In high school, you're not taught a lot of things about life in general. And maybe school is not the right place to teach you those things, right? You're supposed to have parents that teach you that. You kind of grow up. You have siblings that share their experience. Your uncles will tell you, hey, when you get older and this is going to start happening. So your community kind of props you up for that. But having a university professor do that for you is pretty cool. And he would get into that stuff and he would coach you. So he really gave me the perspective to get through the first 2 years and then get on to the actual university, because I routed through a community college. I believe he was one of the main reasons that I decided to continue, actually move, go to university. I brought in a subwoofer that kept blowing every time I turned it on. I'm like, what's wrong? The fuse is not going out. Like, why is it? It just stops working, you know? And he's like, oh, bring it in. And he was just so happy. And he took the whole
Wow,
thing apart
yeah.
and was just testing the pieces. And he's like, oh, your bridge rectifier is out, and you got to take that. And he's like, I'll have it to you tomorrow. And it was just done. It worked perfect. He was just so happy to do things for you. So it was, and maybe it's just my
Major shout out for
personality,
the bridge
but-
rectifier reference.
Like-
I appreciate a good college. I'm not sure I've heard those words together in a long time.
Yeah. So
That's so cool. And so, Jake, for me, hearing that, the question that I immediately go to is, how do I show up as that person in the life of the person who needs it? And while I fully expect one day the three of us are going to get back together and do another podcast episode with celebrating your 50th scholarship and everything's crushing with this project. But today, I still want to like push this on to the people who know that they want to be this. Like, how do I show up that way? What does it take to become that teacher, to become that person? Like, I'm already busy, I'm working hard, I've got all these things to do. But there's a part of me that feels the fire of the mission that you're talking about. So I'm curious for both of you, like, how do you embody the mission today? And then what would you give as a tips or small starting points or ways that we can begin living impactfully as impactful engineers right now, even before the brand has gotten worldwide renowned for its impact? Like, what does that look like?
I'm going to jump right in and potentially cut Steve off, but I do that all the
all
time.
right.
So
Do it.
I can't give you the fire. I can't give you the thing that burns inside of you to make you want to do this kind of stuff for other people. I can't give that to you. But something very easy that you can do right now is to just show up at work tomorrow. If I understood the question correctly, if you're that senior engineer that supposedly people are supposed to look up to for guidance that are coming in as new to the organization, you can just have a great conversation with them the very first day they come in and just let them know that you're a human being, let them know that you're there to answer any questions, and just be completely transparent with them and open about who you are and what you're there to do for them. And get curious about them, ask questions, let them know that you're available. That's like the easiest thing that you can do.
I love that. I love that. Steve, what does being an impactful engineer look like in your world, and what would you give us as a place to start?
So I think there's two things that I do to try to always positively influence the engineering teams that I collaborate with. And the first thing is just setting your day up every day in a positive manner. And that's, when you wake up, you think of the things that you're grateful for, right? And what makes you happy. And that'll just gear your brain into being in a better place right from the start, right? So don't open your work emails first thing. Don't scroll through social media. It's just think about what you're grateful for that day. Think of the main 3 to 5 things that you want to do that day, and that'll just set you up to be in a better place. The other thing is inspiration can only get you so far throughout the day, right? To really be in a good mood, to really outwardly show how happy you are. So you have to kind of build a discipline to always be on, right? To always show that persona of encouraging, your peers, positively thinking and collaborating. And you have to do it even if you are having a bad day. And so you have to build that discipline to do that on the off days, and then the rest of it can be carried by inspiration.
The coach in me has to say this right now because I hear it in both of your answers. One of the things that I believe we all need to do to become impactful engineers is do the work on ourselves. And Jake, I see you doing that work. Steve, I don't know you as well, but I see the results of your transformations that Jake's told me about, and even just your story about how you got into engineering, like how far you've come. But if you want to have a bigger impact, it's kind of like this, we'll use a civil engineering metaphor. If you want to build a building that has more floors, you want to go big, you want to go high, be a skyscraper, stand out, be the city on a hill kind of thing. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation, right? You got to dig deeper. You got to do the work on yourself and as well. So I think that's another thing I would just give everybody is to have the kind of impact you want to make outwardly. you need to strengthen the foundation on the inside as well, to Jake, your point, being that best version of yourself so you have everything you need to impact others, and then get in proximity to the people who share the mission. And that's what you all are doing. So let's talk about the project, where Impactful Engineer goes from here. And we talked kind of big picture around the mission at the start, but what are the things that you two are excited about getting moving, different initiatives or how this comes to life in the short term, the next 1 to 5 years as you're getting started? What are you looking forward to the most?
Definitely a podcast. We're going to have our own podcast. We don't know when it launches. We have goals, but we're close. So, and it's just one piece of the puzzle, one tool we're going to use to bring more awareness and drive more activity around engineering and drive that understanding that we're looking for of our community, right? So looking forward to that. We've had some great guests. We've had some great conversations. Steve and I love doing our podcast one-on-one with each other. We call it What's on Your Mind Today or something similar like that, right? Because every week you go through challenges that you can then discuss, and it always disseminates down to something that is pretty useful for people. So we like to bring that. So the podcast is one. One for me is just feeding my need through different avenues, because impactful engineering is not a thing yet. It's not up. I can't do the things that I want to do right now for people. So I like to immerse myself in doing that. So ACE, Greater Boston area, is something that I give time to. It's a mentorship program for high school students that are interested in architecture, construction, and engineering.
Yes.
And it's free, and you get to hang out with all of these cool senior engineers and architects and construction management people of all varying different levels and interests. And you get to see a lot of what the industry has to offer. And one-on-one, we're there for 2 hours with you. You get to ask anything. Wouldn't that be cool? So that would have been cool for me to know. So I like to get into stuff like that, the programs like that.
That's awesome. Steve, what are you excited about as this comes to life?
Most definitely the podcast. That was the kickoff point that Jake and I started with, because we are both avid podcast listeners. So we're like, hey, this is a great way to spread a great message, and we're passionate about this message. Let's do one. So that was the first idea, and it started out as like I came up with an idea, and I was like, hey, this would be great. And Jake's like, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Wait, what? Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, you want to do it right now? Okay, I'll go buy a mic. So
awesome.
The podcast was our launching point. Another thing is, what I am trying to lead is finding out how to create tools for the everyday engineer to be more efficient in their jobs, right? And so I'm an engineering manager in a product development world. I see how a lot of various types of engineers struggle in different areas, whether it's organizational types of areas or, technical or, there's so many different struggles that different engineers face. So trying to find tools like, whether it's like a style of notebook or, maybe a spreadsheet, even anything that'll help people be more efficient and feel like they're doing more in their roles. So that's a kind of one of the side projects that I'm taking.
I think maybe I just assumed everybody would connect these dots, but it's worthwhile to mention, you guys are doing this on the side while you're driving very successful engineering careers and doing the work on yourselves at the same time, which I truly admire. And I think it speaks to your passion for this and why it's needed, because it's not like you got a huge check from a VC firm to go do some startup and you're getting rolling. It's like, no, this is just grassroots from the beginning, sharing from your journey and your heart. So Jake, you made a comment earlier that I do agree with, that we can't give someone the fire, right? If you don't have it inside you to be aligned to this mission and purpose, then that's not something that we can create for another person. But I do think we can fan the flame. If somebody's got it in there, maybe they've just been busy, they're overwhelmed with their own life and projects, or they haven't really brought their head up and taken a breath and said, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whenever the end of my career comes, what do I want to be known for? What kind of impact do I want to leave on the world during my engineering career? And they're thinking about this now, and they feel that there is a fire there. if you were just going to come alongside that person and help encourage and motivate them to say, don't wait till your retirement or till your finish line to start leaning into this impact, what would be your motivational speech, your message for that person who has the flame, but they just haven't been nurturing it? Jake, what do you think? What would you say to that person?
Don't wait until it's too late. We do have a lot of time on this earth. You could look at it as we don't have a lot of time, but we do. What I mean by too late is every day that you're not fanning that flame, it's going to be shrinking and it could disappear. Okay. So if you don't get curious about it now, even at a little bit at a time, 1% a day, it's gonna diminish. So if you even have an inkling that you want to have some sort of impact beyond your day job, start getting curious about what you can be doing to fan that flame, right? And soon the impactful engineering community is going to be a great place to do that. And we're going to welcome you in, and we're actually going to be seeking you out, right? To try and pull that from you. But who you are a year from now is who you were a year before and what you were working on. If you don't do anything, you're going to be the same person you were. If you start acting and trying to work to draw this out, to fan the flame, to improve yourself, you're going to be a different person a year from now. But you can't just step into it and decide one day, oh yeah, I really want to make a huge impact. And then you're there. So you don't want to wait 10 years before you realize that. So get curious about it now.
Something I'd like to throw in on top of that is, if you want to make an impact to, say, just scale of 100, right? Whatever that may be. If you start now, you can get to 100. If you start 5 years from now, you can only get to 75, right? Or whatever that is. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like interest when you're investing. The sooner you start taking action, the more of an impact you're going to have.
Yes. Yep. I agree with both of those guys. And I'll just testify to the fact that, for one, Jake, your comment is true. The flame can go out. And I've met that person in many forms in the work that I do now. I just this week had a chat with an older engineering leader who got on a coaching call with me. And in the face of a decision, do I want to lean into growth and impact and something more for my career, or just get to the finish line and survive? The hard truth they faced was, I just don't have it in me. You might be able to help me, but I just want to get to the end. I'm done. I really don't care enough anymore to invest in myself, to grow or create. I just don't want to get fired, and I'm not willing to do this. And it was really sad. I mean, it broke my heart to hear somebody say, even in the face of an opportunity that they could create more for their life, they just had nothing there in terms of desire to do it. And then, Steve, to your point, I mean, let's go back to our basic math. It's an exponential equation. Look at Warren Buffett's wealth over time. The bulk of his wealth creation has happened in just the last few years relative to the first 30 years of his investing, right? So it's the same with these kinds of things. You wait 10 years, you miss the biggest lever, which is time. So, guys, this is amazing. And I know people on both sides of this coin are going to want to, A, watch the journey, and B, get involved in it. Both people who can serve and provide resources and donate money and be on the philanthropy end of what impactful engineering does. And then the people who need this, hey, I know somebody down the street who's in high school who would be a great engineer but doesn't have access or needs someone to come alongside and be that teacher for them. Let's land the plane. Well, actually, first, I want people to know how to get connected. So where is the best place? What's the way, whether it's right now as this episode releases, or if somebody hears this a year from now, let's just give people a place to go and get connected to the two of you and the project. So where is the best way for folks to learn more?
Right now is going to be LinkedIn. Both Jake and myself are relatively active there. And then soon our podcast will be launching on all the normal platforms, which is Impactful Engineer. If you want to connect with us directly, you can email us at questions@impactfulengineer.com.
Questions, plural, it's with an S?
Yes.
Okay, questions@impactfulengineer.com. Awesome. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. And you know from being Happy Engineer listeners and Jake from working together how passionate I am about questions. Questions lead, answers follow. Great engineering, impactful engineering. We want to make sure to get the best answer possible that we ask the best questions. So what's the question that each of you would leave the Happy Engineer with who's been feeling that flame get ignited in them during this conversation? Steve, we'll throw it to you first. What's the question you would lead the Happy Engineer with?
One of the biggest questions I always ask myself, even every day in every action is, am I doing the right thing? Is what I'm doing in this instance, to the best of my knowledge, the right thing to do for the community, the person I'm working with, myself, my loved ones, etc. You always want to leave the world as a better place than you got it, is the basic.
Am I doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. Jake, what's your question?
Well, first, I love Steve's question. If you answer yes right away, you know yourself and what you're doing really well. If you don't, which is going to be most of the time, it's going to lead to more questions, and it's going to lead to some understanding that you haven't had before. So truly start asking yourself that question every day. Mine would be, what is stopping you from reaching out and just gaining some perspective, right? What is in your way? Why don't you reach out to someone on a free platform like LinkedIn? Why don't you get connected with people in the industry that you're interested in and just have some conversations? You get to, by the way. It's going to lead you, if you ask yourself that question and you seriously answer it, no matter how dumb it is, because I've had some dumb answers to that question, right? In my own head, I'm like, and sometimes it just comes down to how you're feeling that day even. So really ask yourself that question multiple times, every day, every week. What's stopping me from reaching out and gaining some clarity and talking to somebody? You're one great conversation away from hitting some sort of aha moment or something that gets you past where you're blocked.
Love that. What is in your way specifically to connecting and reaching out? And you can probably take the same question to any other area, but proximity is power. Get around the people who can help you get to where you want to go. And here are two of them right here today that you met, Happy Engineer, and an open invitation to connect with Jake and Steve. So don't miss that opportunity. Guys, just cheering for your success. Let me know how I can help anytime. You know that. Until next time, we'll definitely get back together and update the Happy Engineer community. And I want to know how impactful engineering is coming to life and the impact you're making. So thanks for being here, both of you. This has been awesome.
Hey guys, I hope you had a great time listening. Maybe you learned something new, maybe you got inspired, or at least took one thing away that you'd be able to use. Maybe you just had a good laugh. Impactful Engineering's hope and mission is that through this podcast, we can play a small part in expanding the reach and awareness of engineering and all of its many areas of application. The multiple engineering career paths available can be hugely rewarding as part of a fulfilled life, creating opportunity to impact nearly everyone in the modern world. An engineer's work helps to foster creation of new technologies, create safe and comfortable environments in which people can work, and lends to the sustainable future of everyone on the planet. The world needs more impactful engineers. Our vision is to provide engineers with the perspective and the tools to allow themselves the opportunity to become the most impactful engineers they can be. Included in our vision is to grow the impactful engineering community to a point where we can provide full ride scholarships to students in every single U.S. state every single year. This is an enormous goal. With your help, we can get there. To start, we will continue to execute this mission in the way that we know how, having conversations, telling stories, and talking about what we find interesting and are passionate about. If the episode made you think, made you object, made you think you could possibly be doing something more with your day, or brought about an idea that you could spend more time on developing further, please share the show or recommend it to your friends. Even if you didn't personally think it was a huge help, there may be someone that you know that could benefit from it, and that's all we can ask for. Until next time on the Impactful Engineer Podcast.